Hello. So in this video, I will be talking about day two being on safari. But I do want to back up just a little bit, just to, I basically took my uh, navigation and created some screenshots of just what the travel was like to get there. And so, as you can see here, traveling from the United States all the way to Germany. Then from here, from Germany, flying all the way down to Johannesburg, down in South Africa. And then here, going from Johannesburg up to Harare, Zimbabwe, and then taking the bush plane over to Bumi Hills. So, just to give you a little bit of statistical information, I tried to keep track of this as best I could. But we took 16 flights. Now, that included commercial flights in the United States, Germany, and Africa. That included bush plane flights and helicopter flights. We had 12 drivers overall. We were gone for about 21 days. 13 to 14 of them were in Africa itself. We then ended up in Switzerland, but we had 12 drivers overall that were getting us from place to place. That's not including the safari drives. And then uh, I did over 6,000 steps a day on average. We had 4 trains, and we also had 25 game drives. Now, that also included some walking safaris. Mostly they were driving safaris, and a few boat or canoe safaris. So as I go through the days that we were gone, I will go through all of those. But this just kind of gives you an overall perspective on my navigation system for kind of what we were doing. Okay, so on this particular day, we are at Bumi Hills, and this is in Zimbabwe. But right in the middle of the lake there, you can see a line where it says Zimbabwe, and that's the country border for Zimbabwe. So on the other side of the lake, if you're looking out across from Bumi Hills, you see the other side of the lake, that's Zambia. Okay. So that's how close we were to Zambia from there. Okay. So here again is a picture of Bumi Hills. The one that I showed you on day one showed that lovely um, pool that's just right across from here. And oops, and then out further you can see the lake. All right. So it's a really beautiful resort-like place. Now each full day that we were at a camp, we went out on a morning game drive and an evening game drive. So the pictures that I will be showing you in the video are from both drives, what I consider to be the best of what I took. Okay. Um, as we headed out in the morning for our drive, there's this beautiful baobab tree. Um, you've probably seen these before in different photos from Africa, but they're really big, and apparently they contain a lot of water, and a lot of times elephants like to chew on their bark. I think they get nutrients out of it. Um, but that greeted us every morning and every evening when we went out for game drives. Now, the reason I'm showing you kind of the topography of what this camp kind of looked like, there was the flat part that was kind of grassy out by the lake itself, but there was also a wooded area. And what I mean by woods is that it's these kind of trees. They aren't terribly tall. These are not much taller than me, maybe a foot or two taller than me, and I'm 5.5 feet tall. And so these are not huge trees, but this will come important in another video um, because they're not really tall. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what they look like. This picture I took of an animal track. Okay, I don't know if you can see it there, but um, uh, they were trying to find lions. They had heard lions. We never did see lions at Boomy Hills, but they had been around. Um, and so we were looking for that. Not sure if that's actually a lion track or not, but these guides are pretty well versed in what animal tracks look like. Um, and they're looking on the ground, they're talking to other drivers. They know the area pretty well, and they just kind of go where they think they're going to be. Okay. Of course, there's a beautiful elephant in those trees. We were kind of in a wooded area. The roads, are not paved, and this is a fairly rocky place as well. So, driving across rocks in a basically kind of a Jeep. They are a Toyota, actually. All the vehicles we rode in were Toyotas. I will call them Jeeps, even though they're not Jeeps, because I tend to say that word. It's just easier to say, I guess. Um, but this beauty was up in those trees. Uh, just gorgeous animals, watching them do their thing. Um, and like I've probably mentioned, termite mounds are everywhere. Probably the most populous animal, I think, in Africa are termites, um, because this is just a portion of a termite mound, and that you can see above ground, but it's fairly extensive from what I understand underground, and so this is a living termite mound, and there's probably thousands upon thousands of them in there. And your zebra, and you can see in the back barely that there is a impala back there. They tended to kind of hang out together sometimes. And here's your family of zebra and a herd of impala hanging out together. And there's a little better picture of the impala. Most of them are girls, as far as I can see. I don't see any boys. The boys have antlers. Okay. And then there's my close up of a zebra. And then this was not a great picture, but it's one of the few that I have of warthogs. They tended to run away a lot more than other animals. So sometimes it was hard to get a really good picture of them. But those are warthogs. It looks like a mom and two kids. And then this is part of Lake Kariba. And there's a nice picture of the lake. And you can see this part is a lot flatter and uh, less trees, a lot more grasses. And then in the evening, we actually did a boat safari on Lake Kariba. And so here's all these dead trees that I had mentioned before. And they're all over this lake, along the banks and everything, and uh, kind of out in the middle of the lake and stuff like that. They're just everywhere. But you can see we were um, looking at a couple of hippopotamuses out there in the water and kind of see them surfacing a little bit in this photograph. And then you can kind of see a little bit of a hippo head right there in that photograph. And then here's a lovely crocodile. Now this crocodile um, is not the biggest that I saw while on safari. But he was hanging out there with these two birds. He eventually, we were making enough noise for him that he finally went into the water. I'm assuming it's a him. I'm just saying it's a him. I don't even know. And I don't think we even asked the guide what gender it was. Uh, and then as we're going along, we see an elephant along the banks of the lake. It's a beautiful photo. A crane airing out his wings or something. I don't know what he was doing. Um, and then we kind of hung out in an area where these dead trees are and everything, and had our sundowner for the evening, just drinks and snacks, and watched the sunset on Lake Kariba. So it was just beautiful. It was really lovely. Really enjoyed going out on the boat. That was really nice. And then my last photo here is of a fish eagle. They look a lot like the American bald eagle, um, and they were quite plentiful around. They uh, they were flying around a lot of times, and you could hear them. They sound very much like the eagles in the United States. Um, so that was our first full day at a safari camp. All right. And so, again, if you are inspired to go on an African safari, I certainly hope this does inspire you to go on one. We used African bush camps, and we booked everything through a concierge service called Africa Dynamics. And their website is africadynamics.com. If you're interested in chatting with them about building out an itinerary, they're very cool. Um, and so we really enjoyed it, and it gets even better after this. All right. So thank you very much. I'll see you soon.